So there's something that's really been bothering me, and I'm gonna just go up and say it. When people talk about it's cool when they do it, it's a problem when I do it. Sometimes that kind of it gets me a little aggravated because we all know that black and white was something that was differentiate earlier in the years, but it was still made up. But my thing is like when black folks try to compare us to what white people do or try to expect a fair judgments, it bothers me a lot because I'm gonna tell you this, and I'm not going to take it back. Whether you want to say the melanated people, the black people, the indigenous people, we are the original man. We were the first, and because we're the original man and we are the first, it's like certain things we're immune to certain things and we're affected by certain things because we're the original man. I'll There's a higher rate for us as black people because a lot of these man-made chemicals and late new generation, you know, medicines does affect our DNA, and as time progresses, it just makes it worse and worse. So me, like I was born in the 1980s, so I was born in the 20th century, and then my son, he was born in the 21st century. But as time progresses, as as digitally the universe, the world excels digitally, the, I- as our as the world as people, it digresses, it decreases because we have different technology now that enhances performance drugs, that enhances the earth or makes the world a little bit better, but it doesn't do anything for the people. It might allow us to have a little bit more access to certain things, but that's not always a good thing. So even when, let's say, we might have a white celebrity trying to popularize a dance that's originally created by black culture, then it becomes an issue because, at least for me, because it's like black folks, we gotta remember like we're the original man, and certain things that we do is gonna be held to a higher standard. And I'm gonna say it this way: the ratchet community, the ratchet work, that is there's a certain level of culture that we have to take responsibility for. Now, hip hop culture is part of black culture. Jazz culture is part of black culture. You know, dreads and braids is part of black culture, and like there's different layers. Just like even like with politics, I mean, politics is there was always politics. There wasn't always certain laws There wasn't always, certain guidelines, but politics always been around. Even if I just stick to America, before America was America, there was a culture here. So when the settlers colonized in America, it changed the whole dynamic. And the sad part about it is a lot of like even the black folks might have lost their identity when when a lot of the Africans was brought here in America. But my main thing is like what I will say is that I don't like that people believe that scripture or the Bible is the white man's religion or this and that. My main thing is this: stand on your square and be who you need to be. I'm not gonna go total Dr. Umar. He's an intelligent being. I would say that he's a lot more intelligent than me, but you can't allow people who are that's probably more fluid and smarter than you, like take away from what you do know. So with all that being said, right, my main point is it's cool when they do it. It's a problem when I do it. I know people talk about that came from now the baby got one with that, but what I can go a little bit deeper and say it's cool when Elvis do it. It's cool when Kim Kardashian do it. It's cool when Miley Cyrus do it. It's cool when Taylor Swift does it. It's a problem when Michael Jackson do it. It's a problem when Beyonce do it. It's a problem when Jay-Z do it. It's a problem when Mama Sa do it. But we gotta remember, like, we are the original people. Things like this will happen, but we gotta remember that we're held to a higher standard because we are the original people. And the people who took our identity and took our power, they know. And if I'm not mistaken, that's kind of how Jim Crow, that was the Jim Crow law, and how he kind of brainwashed us a little bit. So, just speaking on behalf of myself, this is just what I believe. And so I'm not sitting here saying that white people are bad. I'm not saying that the Asians are bad. I'm not sitting here saying that the Mexicans are bad. I'm not sitting here saying that they're not credible in their own right. But what I'm saying is black power is the greatest power. And once the black community realize the power that we have, once we are able to come together as a unit, there's times where you got to stand on your own. There's times where you got to stand with your family. There's times where you have to, stand and for your house. But there's also a time where you have to stand as a community, as a race. And whether Donald Trump's president or not, we still have to show that unity. I'm not sitting here talking about, vote for this, black individual, or sit here and, can like argue for, a position that you feel like you're qualified for. What I mean is, like, when it's time to fight and battle, don't let someone outside regulate what you have within your community. Regardless of what laws are set aside, because there's laws that we have to obey the laws. But you also have to remember we also have laws within our community, within our culture. And I really just wanted to spread that because, whether I'm under the influence, whether I'm just fed up, or whether I'm just sound mind and and conscious, and me being a melanated man, a black man, um, living in a country, being from a country full of racism and hate and despair and trauma and everything. At the same time, I'm still an American. Now, I'm gonna say this, whether my bloodline falls in the South, falls in Africa, whether it's Ghana or Angola or Nigeria, wherever my bloodline leads at, I am a Black American, and I'm still trying to find my rightful place in this country because I was born here. I'm from here. This is all I know. I can't sit here and control where I was born at. I acknowledge and recognize that I do have ancestors that may be from Africa. But if I just go beyond, if I just keep it G, hey, like as far as I could look, my family's from Virginia, family's from Maryland, and based on the information that I do know, the first slaves was in Virginia. They came from over in Africa, South Africa, not Angola. Angola is where I acknowledge that that's where a lot of the Virginia slaves came from. But not necessarily a history lesson, but just more so of, you know, reminding my listeners, my friends, like whoever supports me, just a reminder whether you white, black, Asian, Mexican, whatever, like whatever you from, no matter where you from, the love is genuine. I don't love you any less. Like no matter what your race, I don't love a white man, Chinese man, black man. I don't love them any less. My only thing is when it comes to culture, when it comes to community, I'ma stand with my community. I'm gonna fight for what's right. But like I said, there's a time to stand for yourself, a time to stand for your family, a time to stay for your community. And you have to know how to tell the difference. So for people who are, complaining about the unfairness and injustice that we receive from this country, I'm never going to say that it's okay. I'm never going to sit here and say accept it. I'm just saying, want everybody to remember that what this country was built off of, and why this country exists. So we just not to sit here and be a sucker, not to sit here and have our tails tucked between our legs. But I do want people to understand that we have to make the best with what we have. We do have to stand and make a difference. We do have to sit here and, acknowledge what Dr. Martin Luther King did, Malcolm X did, Rosa Parks did, Miss Colville did, what, Frederick Douglass did, with even our activists today. Shout out to Tamika Mallory, shout out to Dr. Umar, shout out to all the activists today. There's more I can't think of the name at the moment. because there's another particular gentleman that I wanted to acknowledge, but I can't and I'm ashamed that I can't remember his name right now. I just know he's part of the Nation of Islam, and I want to say he's from California. Um, it will come to me, but my thing is my thing is we have to remember who we are as a community. It's always fine when you it's always cool when you getting your cheese, when you stacking your paper. But then it's wrong when people are being falsely convicted or being mistreated, and it's like, okay, this is you want to stand when a white police officer is gunned down a innocent black man or innocent black woman. It's you want to stand when the president, the elected president, make these certain decisions that you might not agree with, but we have to remember, we have to remember, Rizza, Rizza Islam, brother Rizza Islam. Shout out to him. That's what. But we want to stand together when injustice is being when injustices is happening and killing and murder is happening, but then when it's time to come together on on helping, like something that's actually gonna actually be beneficial, you don't want to do it. Everybody kind of wants to do their own thing until something goes left. All is fair until something bad happens. It needs to be fit. It needs to. Need to be able to come together, not just in bad times, but also in good times. I'm not sitting here going to say that you got to sit here and you know like give your money away to somebody less fortunate. I'm not saying that, but like my thing is, we all work hard. A lot of us work hard. I'm not going to say everybody. A lot of us work hard to do what we need to do to take care of our families, to provide for ourselves, to be in a better position. But if you're listening to this, let me address this because I'm a little street smart. I'm a little book smart. I would probably say, within the last few years, I've become maybe more street smart than book smart. But I have some acknowledgement and knowledge. I mean, I could always know more. You can never, you know, have too much information, especially when it comes to, you know, your background and certain things, because a lot of times who we are as people, our upbringing, and how we was raised plays a big part in that. And I acknowledge that and I recognize that, and I want to be better. I want to be able to, help whoever needs help, whether you're white or black. But it's like I have to make sure that I look after my community first. My community first. My community first. And I'm learning that ain't nothing wrong with that, because when you're in a workforce, you will come across many walks of life: white, black, yellow, pink, big, small, sick, healthy, rich and poor. That's when you're in the workforce. And how people got it is how they got it. Respect and honor to people who doing their job to take care of what they need to take care of. I'm not gonna sit here and say that you're better than me or you're little than like belittle me. But at the same time, I do recognize that I am in certain positions that will only benefit certain type of people or different type of people, because even for me, being an executive in my own right, I have somebody. I have a day job. I have a job that I have to answer to. So my thing is, when you're at work, you have to. There's certain rules you have to apply. Now, when you're like when you're outside in the street, you have to obey laws. But there are certain things that you can control. You can control whether or not you pull that trigger. You can control whether or not how to do your hair. You can control whether or not what you want to put in your body. Have to be very vigilant and do your due diligence, as I do my due diligence as well. And I'm a work in progress as well. But I'm always going to stand 10 toes down on the fact that even if I'm not doing things completely correctly or right, I'm going to still make sure that people who might have a little bit more discipline or a little bit a better understanding, that they get the nuggets that they need to get. And that's really all. I don't want to continue to have to look at videos of my people complaining on how unfair they're being treated just because of the color of their skin. It may be wrong, but we have to realize that, recognize where you are, and even in the scripture, and maybe I'll put that scripture in down here in the box, but even in scripture, and this is where I might lose some people. It talks about the return of Jesus is not to bring peace, but to separate righteousness from wickedness. Some daughters will be sent away from their mothers. Some sons will be sent away from their fathers. Some black folks will be sent away from their community. Some white folks will be sent away from their community. But my thing is, like, we are not God. We cannot do what God does. Vengeance is His. Vengeance is His. We should be peaceful. We should be able to have communication without any violence. We should. But again, not everybody stand on the same morals. But my thing is self-defense. You got to self-defend. You have to protect yourself. However you protect yourself, but you still have to do it in a way of an accordance. You're not supposed to sit here and rob somebody at gun blank or with a weapon and be like, hey, give me your money. Like, no, that's not what self defense is. If somebody comes up to me and I'm naked out here and they want to rob me, now the tough guy in me will be like, okay, nope, don't do it. But you got to know what your worth is. It's one of those things where it's like, okay, if you hold, like, you can't tell somebody that is willing to take your life, risk their life for some shoes or some jewelry, you can't tell them what you're worth. They don't care. Because if they cared, they wouldn't do it. I know it gets hard. I know it gets difficult. And this isn't just really for black people. This is for white people as well. I can't sit here and tell a racist or someone prejudice over what my worth is. I mean, people aren't really that dumb that we think they are. There's people that's dumb, but like the majority, the majority of people in the world in America isn't that far removed from reality that they're not willing to risk. Like they're gonna risk. They don't care. Like people know the consequences of what they do, but a lot of times they think that they'll get away with it. This all depends on what because you're not gonna go into a bank knowing that they have cameras and not know that there's a good chance that you will get caught. It's not that they're dumb. It's just that they don't care. People are out here hurting like for real, for real. People are out here struggling for real. And sometimes enough is enough. I don't condone it. I understand it, but I don't condone it. How many times have we played this Russian roulette with our lives? How many times have we marched? How many times have we protested? How many times have we preached the gospel? How many times have we done this? It's like, no, you can't do it. Like, but my thing is, my thing is this. I'm just sitting here looking at this scripture, right? So Luke 12:51-53 through 53. Jesus is not advocating for intentionally division, but rather acknowledging that his teachings will inevitably lead to a separation between those who embrace his message and those who resist it. So let me see where it says about Luke 12. Luke 12, 20. Because there was another point there's another place where I wanted to go to, but I'm not going to do that. I'm I man, I had I had thought about it. So I'm sorry, I should have came a little bit more prepared, but let me just make this point. Luke 12. All right, so let me just read this part. Luke 12:49. I am come to send fire on the earth, and what will I, if it be already kindled? 50. But I have a baptism to be baptized with, and how am I straight until it be accomplished? 51. Suppose ye that I am come to give peace on earth, I tell you nay, but rather division. 52. For from henceforth there shall be five, and one house divided, three against two, and two against three. 53. The father shall be divided against the son, and the son against the father, the mother against the daughter, and the daughter against the mother, the mother-in-law against her daughter-in-law, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. So it's just certain things like that kind of sticks out a lot of times. But I recognize that, hey, there are certain things that God is able to do that we shouldn't do because we don't have the heart and the means to withstand it. And I say this all the time where I'm so forgiving and understanding that I disregard anything anybody does to me or makes me feel, and I'll just be okay, I'm over it now, so you can come back in. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it does play a part in how people treat you. But I'll leave that for another time. So what I want you to understand, and I'm gonna be done, is you have to remain firm in your walk. You can't let nobody waver it. When you let somebody, if you allow people to waver your walk and waver the way that you move, if you're moving righteously or moving in a way that is actually increase, like that is building you up. Like I said, it's not negative, but it's building you up in a positive way. You're becoming a better person. You have to kind of do your best to stop letting negative things waver you. Do unto others as you want them to do unto you. And if they do not do unto you the way you do unto them, then you have to remove yourself and walk in a righteous path. It's cool when they do it. It's cool when they do it. But think about it as the original man, as the chosen people. You have a greater purpose than, taking each other's lives, arguing over a parking spot, arguing over some shoes, like fighting and killing over things that is going to be irrelevant to you a year later or 2 years later. So you have to kind of think beyond today, but still living today. Like we hear it all the time, hey, don't let temporary feelings put you in a permanent position. People, like I know a guy, man, he's doing time now. Like I said, I knew this little dude since he was a baby. He's locked up now. I don't know how much time he's doing, but he didn't. He's missed a lot of. He's gonna miss a lot of time seeing his son, grow up, and his son looks exactly like him. But this was over some weed. Money's important, but it's not important for your life. We have CEOs and people in position of power that will never be in that position again over some box. Because they felt like they was in a high enough power where they couldn't be touched, but there's gonna just treat people right. The justice system's gonna be what the justice system is. Somebody has to do something about it, but you can't you can't let mistreatment take you off your square. Fight for what's right, but let it stay authentic. If you feel as though like this person is doing you treat everybody has their prerogative, like I mentioned, everybody has their prerogative. But you have to remember that there's gonna be times where you're not gonna stand up for this because it doesn't affect you. And again, it's not you can't always fight people's battles, but I think we have to remember that if you imagine if you're treated wrong and you stand up for it, then why not stand with your brother? Why not stand with your sister? Y'all be safe, stay prosperous, productive.